Hey guys! Welcome to the Let Me Tell You channel, where I always bring you interesting curiosities and stories. In today's video, I'm going to tell you about some of the scariest experiments in science. As science has evolved over the years, many experiments have been performed to help better understand human behavior, psychology, and other areas of science. Some of these experiments were incredibly shocking and disturbing, and today we're going to explore some of them. So, get ready to be amazed and scared by these stories. Stanford Prison Experiment. We begin with one of the best-known experiments in the history of psychology, the Stanford Prison. In 1971, a group of college students volunteered to participate in a simulated prison study. Half of the students were chosen to be the guards and the other half to be prisoners. The experiment was stopped after 6 days, due to the violence and abuse that the guards practiced on the prisoners. This experiment showed how power can corrupt and how people can behave in unpredictable ways in certain situations. Milgram's Monster Experiment. The next experiment was also carried out in the 1970s by psychologist Stanley Milgram. The goal was to understand the extent to which people could follow authoritarian orders, even if it meant causing someone else pain. Participants were asked to give increasingly intense electric shocks to a person on the other side of the wall, even though they knew this could cause pain or even death. Surprisingly, most people continue to deliver the shocks until the end, even when the person on the other side of the wall is screaming in pain. This experiment is a grim example of how blindly obeying can be dangerous. Tuskegee Experiment. The third experiment took place between 1932 and 1972, when the U.S. government conducted a study of syphilis in African American men in Tuskegee, Alabama. Men were recruited into the study and were misled about their medical condition. Even when penicillin became a common treatment for syphilis, men did not receive adequate treatment and many remained or became seriously ill. This experiment was widely criticized as a violation of human rights and helped to create a series of laws and regulations governing the ethics of medical research. Maze Mouse Experiment. This is another experiment that doesn't involve humans, but it's still scary in its own way. The Rat in the Labyrinth experiment was run by psychologist John Calhoun in the 1960s and 1970s. Calhoun placed a large number of rats in a small enclosed area with limited resources. Over time, the rat population grew rapidly and began to show signs of abnormal behavior, including cannibalism and excessive aggression. This experiment is an example of how overcrowding can lead to negative and aggressive behavior. Punitive Family Experiment. The Punitive Family Experiment was carried out by psychologists in the UK in 1963. The researchers selected a group of young offenders and placed them in a punitive family, where each participant was assigned a specific role within a fictional family and was subjected to severe and punitive treatment by the fictional parents. The experiment was designed to test whether a punitive home environment could lead to antisocial and delinquent behavior. However, the experiment was highly controversial and criticized for being extremely cruel and ethically questionable. Monster Study Experiment. The Monster Study Experiment, also known as the Scary Talk Experiment, was developed by Wendell Johnson in 1939. He selected a group of 22 orphans and assessed their speech skills. Half of the orphans were randomly chosen to receive negative comments and criticism about their speech, while the other group received praise and encouragement. The purpose of the experiment was to determine whether verbal criticism had a negative impact on children's speech. The experiment was widely criticized for being cruel and causing lasting emotional damage to the orphans, and the University of Iowa, where the experiment was carried out, issued a formal apology in 2001. Hey guys! What did you think of these experiments? It's amazing how science can be both fascinating and terrifying at the same time. I hope you enjoyed the video and that you learned something new. Don't forget to leave your opinion and suggestions for new topics in the comments. See you next time.